we're joined by a guest this morning, and we're talking about hemp production, which, of course, in last year's Farm Bill was approved by the federal government. Hemp being different than what most people think of when they think of some, call them outgrowths of the hemp plant. It does not necessarily, it's not the part that gets you high. It's used in all sorts of, well, it's used in building and it's used in clothing and it's got multiple uses. And yet there still seems to be some confusion about it in the state of Idaho. We're going to be joined by Representative Dorothy Moon in just a moment. She's sponsoring a bill to clear all of this up. We're at 14 at 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. And Steve Millington in the studio with me, Bill Cully, on Magic Valley this morning on News Radio 1310 KLIX. Representative, welcome back to the program.
Oh, welcome, Bill. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I'm sitting here getting everything lined up because since you have Steve there, I better be on top of my game.
Good morning, Representative. How are you today?
I'm doing excellent, thank you. How are you all?
It's a good morning, but a little chilly.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Although I suppose at your house it's a lot chillier. So
yeah, and a lot of snow.
Yeah. Hey, we wanted to bring this up because it certainly has been a newsworthy story the last couple of weeks because obviously it's caused some confusion in Idaho. We had a truck that was passing through from out of state and it was pulled over. And I don't blame troopers. You know, if a dog sniffs this stuff and says, hey, we got a problem here, or at least hints that you do, they do their job. But we have to come to I guess some sort of conclusion here that we've got to recognize the legality of this fiber, and also that it could be a real boon as well for farmers in Idaho.
Well, and Bill, let's start back with President Nixon. In the 70s, he declared a war on drugs and signed the Controlled Substances Act of 1970, which more or less banned drugs and created a drug force, the DEA. But it also unintentionally outlawed one of the world's oldest domesticated crop, which is hemp. And it not only led to the demise of hemp, but also increased a huge misconception of the plant too. And so I think, decades later, folks have realized that this is a crop that can help economies. It also can help a lot of different businesses, like, as you said, with construction, fuel, paint, animal feed, all sorts of things. So seed mill. So I think the time has come. I think, if you remember last year, I brought a CBD bill forward. And it passed with an 85% in the House, and it never made it to the Senate because it was held up in the chairman of Health and Welfare's drawer. But I think the appetite for hemp production and the products made from hemp, of which one is CBD oil, the time has come, and it's a safe, can't get you high, has less than 0.3% of THC, and there's just a lot to it, but it's pretty simple by design that it is not the same thing as marijuana, which I've heard many people on your radio say, call it marijuana oil instead of hemp oil and so forth. So I'm ready for some questions, and let's open this discussion up.
Well, and are you getting any indication you're going to get a hearing?
We did get a hearing. In fact, we had a print hearing in the Ag House Committee on Friday, and Representative Troy and I both brought the bill forward for a print hearing. So now it is bill number 122, and she is addressing more of the Hemp Research and Development Act in Chapter 17, which talks about the Farm Bill removing hemp from Schedule 1, but then also going on to eliminate the barriers so that the federal level, and then once conformity bill to the state level, we can do hemp research and development, and then it also includes growing it.
I was going to say, it sounds as if at least there, and I'm going to guess that because the agricultural lobby is so strong in Idaho, that they would be well behind this, because the fact of the matter is it'd be a great source of income for people on farms and ranches.
And you're right, Farm Bureau, AgriPac, the agricultural community is very behind it. But, there's cattle eat it, and, they don't get high anyway. So, there's a lot of benefit, high protein content. So, yeah, they're excited about it, and I definitely appreciate their support. Farm Bureau is, I think, usually on the right track when it comes to growing commodities. And, again, I think it's time.
And now, if your bill is passed this session. It's not going to be take effect until probably
July
July
1st.
July 1st. So we would not have a growing season in 2019, but we could beginning in 2020.
Well, actually, you could probably start in 19. It's got a 3-month growth cycle, so it grows pretty fast.
Whoa, that's fast.
Yeah. So it does grow. It's a fast grower. Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I don't suppose we have any idea what the production levels would be, how many bushels or tons per acre, and where would we market this stuff? I think there's a ready market. It's just that we would need to tap into that market and say we have supplies available in Idaho. Can we ship them to you?
Exactly, and I just received a letter on Friday once I got home, and it was from a gentleman who was making brick blocks out of hemp stalks, and it's lighter, so transport is not as expensive, and it also has better RH value. And there is actually a building in Mackay that has been constructed with this material, and he is going to come and testify at our hearing. Now we haven't got the hearing date set down, but I've got a lot of folks who are interested in coming and supporting all components of this 2018 Farm Bill conformity.
Yeah, over there in Mackay, that hemp brick will keep the cougars out of your house.
That's right. There's cougars everywhere.
So is there a possibility that you could put kind of an attachment to this bill that says, okay, if the bill makes it if it's approved, we want to allow farmers to start planting in 2019, even though the bill effective date is not till July 1. We can't sell any product, but we can begin to grow it earlier in the year.
And until we have our hearing, I'm not sure how it's all going to hash out, but that was a play on words. But anyway, how it's all going to play out. But, the Department of Agriculture will oversee this. So on the Hemp Development Act part, Research and Development Act, this is where the state agriculture will come in and come up with a plan on how we're going to monitor the growth. And this is where we start doing the economic studies on how much acreage, how much volume, different areas of the state, since we're such a large state, and a little bit different on precipitation and cooling patterns, and this is what we'll have to look at. But what we need to do as a state is come up with our own plan, and not let the federal government come up with a plan that we implement, because Idaho has very unique geographic areas, and that's what we need to address in our plan.
We've got a caller looking to join us as well. Caller, you're on the air with Representative Dorothy Moon on KLIX at 814. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to be clear, Representative Moon, it was Lee Hyder who refused to give your bill a hearing, was it not?
Correct. Yes, sir.
It could have been a year down the road, perhaps, had that happened. And
right.
I will point out that was none other than Raul Labrador said this is exactly why he wanted to run for governor. That's all I have to say.
I want to thank the caller for chiming in. So the federal government, at least moving on this last year, may have changed a lot of attitudes in Idaho.
I think so, and I really appreciated President Trump recognizing that. I have spoke to anti-drug coalitions around the state. I have talked with my constituency for sure. I know my District 8 is very supportive of this, and again, we're so rural. It's not like we have a big hospital or clinics as you do down there in Twin Falls. I mean, they have to drive 100 miles to get to the hospital, or 50 miles to get to a clinic, and so those are pretty hardy people, and they kind of take care of their health issues on their own, and this is what their choice of pain relief is. And again, I'd rather see someone on a CBD oil or a salve for arthritis as I would to see them on opioids. In fact, I've had an Indian council from up north came in and met with me last week, and they are so concerned about the opioid epidemic that they are so supportive of this. It is not, it's not funny. They know that there's got to be alternatives, So I think there's a lot of excitement, and again, with the popularity in the House, and again, we don't know what happened in the Senate, what would have happened in the Senate, because it was held in the drawer. But just based on talking with my counterparts, I think they're ready to support it as well.
We've got another caller with us. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air with Representative Dorothy Moon on Magic Valley this morning.
Good morning. So I've got a couple questions. One, will this bill be enforced across the entire state uniformly, or will it allow each individual?
Okay,
I couldn't hear that.
Yeah, he's got a poor phone line, but at least I'll get half the question out for you. He wanted to know if this would be something that would be uniform across the state of Idaho once adopted.
Yes, if it's a conformity bill that comes into the state, it's across the entire state.
How would this bill dovetail in with the federal bill? Would we still have self-governance in the state of Idaho, or do we find ourselves subjected to federal regulations?
No, that's why I said we need the Department of Ag, our state Department of Ag, to come up with a plan. So should this pass during session, then we have a few months to where we can come up with a plan, and then we can start implementing the growth of the hemp. And you've got to get certified seed, and you just can't go get it from anywhere. So it's going to have to be a certified seed product, which guarantees that it's going to be the 0.3% of THC and no more. So there's a lot to getting it set up, but I think the information is already out there. I think people have been working on this since Senator Kurt McKenzie, before I was in office, brought about that affirmative action bill, which was vetoed by Governor Otter. Mine wasn't vetoed; it was just held in the drawer. But anyway, I think this has been coming very slowly through the legislature, and the education level that my counterparts have received on this issue, as well as me. Again, I didn't even know what CBD oil was until I ran for office, and everybody started asking me, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about it? Well, I've done my due diligence. I've done my work. I've seen what's happened around the United States, and as far as the hemp and the products and derivatives from hemp, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And I really hate it when people muddle it up with marijuana. Are they both come from a cannabis? Yes, but they're different species of plant, and that's what people need to understand. So anyway, I'm excited, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
We've got to take a break. Can you stick around for another 10 minutes?
Yes, I can.
Because I want to talk a little bit about economic impact of all of this as well. State Representative Dorothy Moon is joining us this morning. She's, of course, in Boise working on legislation this week. And Steve Millington in the studio with us, too. It's coming up on 20 minutes after 8 o'clock. It's 15. Bill Colley with you as well on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. Just a quick note, if you've got storage needs, I'd like to recommend All-Star Secure Storage at its brand new facility. All-Star Secure Storage is fully fenced and lighted with digital video surveillance and 24-hour access with your own personalized electronic gate code. All-Star Secure Storage has the lowest rates around and is hassle-free. You can rent your unit at the local office or online at allstarsecurestorage.com and manage your account online 24/7. Mention this ad and you'll get your first month free. All-Star Secure Storage behind the old Jerome Theater near the Jerome Freeway exit. And again, more coming up with Dorothy Moon in just a moment. State Representative Dorothy Moon is joining us this morning on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. 16, we're at 8:23. Steve Millington joining me, Bill Colley, on the Magic Valley this morning. And Representative, you were just telling me off air that there's a side to this for people who are worried about somebody out there just quietly, sneakily growing marijuana crop, and somewhere on the back 40, that the planting of hemp could actually be a deterrent.
Well, exactly. This is something that Representative Fred Wood, and he was very supportive of the CBD oil bill last year. He said, if people really wanted to get rid of marijuana or had a big fear of marijuana, just put some hemp out there, and genetically it will cross-pollinate and ruin the marijuana and reduce the amount of THC in it. So, and that's something that people don't really think about. I know in the Midwest there was always this ditchweed hemp growing all over, and so I guess that's why they had to bring in the stuff from Hawaii or whatever. But interesting enough, that's a fact. So people don't look at it that this is a really good product.
So let's just extrapolate that one step forward, Representative Moon. So we approve hemp and we start planting hemp in a little bit more economic, viable quantities in the state, maybe a few thousand acres, 8 to 10,000 acres across the state of Idaho. That's going to make it real tough for anybody to raise marijuana because the hemp will degrade the marijuana plant and make it worthless.
Exactly. So when they talk about they're gonna stick marijuana plants in there with the hemp, let them. It's not going to do them any good. And they physically look different too. The hemp is much taller and thinner leaved, and a marijuana plant is shorter and bushier and broader leaf. So there's a definite look to it, and there's testing that can be done on these plants too that I think a lot of people don't realize. It's not like we're the first state that's brought hemp back in. We're one of 3 left that have not adopted any CBD oil plans yet in the state. However, with this farm bill, it's just a matter of a conformity bill. And so the thing is that here we have every state in the United States, and of course it's a varying use of hemp products and CBD oil, and there's different limitations per state. But the fact of the matter is that people know it works, and they know it's safe. People are not overdosing on anything hemp if they ingest. I mean, people can buy hemp-seeded bread at any organic store up here in Boise. I was looking at Costco and Twin the other day. I couldn't find any, but I know that they have hemp hearts. So this stuff all has trace amounts genetically of THC to a level to where you'd never ever notice it. So anyway, yeah, it's a good product, and we just need to make sure anybody who is using anything hemp related isn't going to be considered a felon, because this bill also would remove hemp from the Schedule 1. And I also want to mention, too, that Epidiolex, the study of the CBD pill, the the pharma pill. I said big pharma. I shouldn't have said that. The pharma bill. Anyway, it was removed from a Schedule 1 this year. It's running through the legislature also and moving it down to a Schedule 5, which means it's not harmful. So you tell me how a pill that pharma makes can go down to Schedule 1, and if we don't adopt this conformity bill, then hemp remains up there on the Schedule 1, which is totally wrong.
Economic impact is going to be huge, because we're talking off air. We're now the #1 hops producer in the country, and if you throw this in, I don't know that the Palouse is going to be the hemp capital of the world, but a lot of people throughout Idaho, along the river valleys and the like, this is going to turn some lives around.
Sure, it will. And even 2 years ago, before I brought my other bill, I had folks calling me from Emmett, from Salmon. My district, of course, is the center part of the state, and they said, I'd like to grow about 10 acres of hemp, and they were wanting it for bedding and feed. And I said, you just can't do it yet. And so there's a lot of people ready to, put their toe in the water and try it. But if that keeps that little farm viable instead of becoming, being incorporated into these large mega farms, by golly, let them do it. It used to be where everybody had a cow, raised their own cattle for beef and for milk, dairy cattle, and then they have chickens, and now if they have a little hemp plot, can they make enough money to where they can be sustainable and stay where they want to stay?
Well, we'll let you go. I know you've got business to tend to. Can we have you come back though soon? We were talking off air about taking pictures in state parks. And,
yeah. I love that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Of course, they say I can do it if I'm a tourist, but if I was thinking about posting them, I guess, at our website, I'd have to be paying some.
And Bill, look how much money you could make on Facebook with some of your pictures. My gosh, they'd be after you.
Oh man.
Well, again, thank you. We wish you luck, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you very
sounds
much.
good. I'll call you after we have the hearing on the bill. Okay.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Bye, Steve. Bye, Bill.
State Representative Dorothy Moon. Are you going to stick around for 5 more minutes after the break?
Sure, we can do that.
Because I know we have some other things to touch on, and We can do that. We've got a break, though, in just a short while. And I also want to point out Lieutenant Colonel Steve Heil is going to be joining us just after 9 o'clock news this morning. We have an epidemic of people reporting booms around the country. And in some parts of the country, they say, well, it's ice fractures. But when it's happening in Mississippi, it's not an ice fracture.
No, it's not an ice fracture.
And so he's going to be joining the show at 9 o'clock this morning. And he's got some experience in dealing with a lot of these issues, having been with the Air Force Thunderbirds and been the chairman, or I should say he was the administrator of the Shuttle Challenger Commission, but he knows a little bit about what might be going on. That's coming up a little later in the program. We're at 15. It's 8:30 on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com.